Welcome in to Outkick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. It is a Wednesday in May, and I've got some controversy to dive into with you right off the top of the show. But first, I want to tell you that the NHL All-Stars, the NHL playoffs are officially underway tonight. And if you want to get the best possible number anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world, you need to go to sportsbookreview.com. That's sportsbookreview.com for the best numbers on your NHL playoffs. Make sure that you dive in and take advantage if you're going to be gambling tonight, tomorrow, or anywhere in the NHL playoffs. That's sportsbookreview.com. Now, I also want to tell you that we are going to have an awesome event coming up soon in Las Vegas. We are going to have an Outkick Vegas weekend, which will feature sports media panels. It'll feature gambling panels. I think it's going to be so popular that only VIP members are going to be able to get in. So if you haven't signed up for Outkick VIP, that's probably the only way you're going to be able to get tickets for this, because we're going to be capped out. It's going to be at a Vegas hotel. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Okay, I can't wait for it. I'm telling you guys, you're going to love it. But on top of that, the only way to ensure that you can get in without being a VIP member is to go to thehomeloanexpert.com right now in the month of April and sign up for a new mortgage, qualify for one, or refi one. Tell them that Outkick and Clay Travis sent you. That's important. You need to let them know that I sent you, so they're tracking it from me. And if you do that, I will give you a free weekend at Outkick the weekend in Las Vegas come August. That's the only way you're going to be able to get in 100% without being an Outkick VIP member. It's the only giveaway we're going to do. You have to go to thehomeloanexpert.com, I'm telling you, to make sure that you get hooked up. All right, let's dive right into the news. I got to be honest with you right off the top here. Major controversy last night. So I am an assistant coach for 7 and 8 year old boys in the Nashville area, in my area of Little League. Last night, first game ever with a scoreboard for my 7-year-old. I'm not kidding you about this. When I tried to hype my 7-year-old up for what it was a big deal to be playing in front of a scoreboard for the first time in his life, I swear to you, first thing he says to me is, "Dad, Nick Saban says not to look at the score." This kid is so processed. Nick Saban yesterday at the White House was calling recruits while he was at the White House, and I can't tell you how ridiculous I think this is. It's unbelievable to me. My 7-year-old is so obsessed with Nick Saban that the first thing he says when I tell him, "Hey, we've got brand new, awesome, this is phenomenal scoreboard for Little League," first thing he says to me is, "Nick Saban says not to look at the score, Dad." So, Dad's looking at the score. It's the last half inning. My team is down 11-9. My role on the team is I am third base coach. I'm waving kids in. I'm encouraging them to go home. I'm doing all this, all right? So, we have bases loaded. Kid hits a ground ball towards shortstop, right in between shortstop and third base, but not very fast. The shortstop and the third baseman both rush towards the ball, and they literally end up right where the base path is. Right where the base path is between second and third. One of our 7-year-olds is running towards third base. They misfield it, and both of them are like right in the base path. He runs around them on the inside on the base path, outside of the base path, to avoid running into them. He's going to be safe. It's going to make it 11-10. Bases will still be loaded, literally ending the game here. Umpire calls him out. Now, I don't know about you, but umpiring a 7 and 8 year old baseball game because a kid doesn't want to run through the other kids that are in the base path and just flatten them like he is a linebacker. He runs inside of them, definitely ran outside of the base path, but because they were directly in front of him, 7-year-old gets called out, game ends right there. Really aggressive move, I think, by the umpires. Not like we got the infield fly rule here working. It's not like we've got massive rules here. The rules of Little League Baseball are as follows, okay? You get 6 pitches. If you strike out in our league, you're gone, all right? You're out if you get swing and miss 3 times, or you get 6 pitches and you let too many of them go by. That's it. You're done. You're out. And also, if people throw you out on the base paths, everything else. I don't remember the last time I saw a runner punched because he ran outside of the base paths. Just think it was a little bit of an aggressive call by the umpire. But you get into an interesting dilemma here. First of all, you guys listen to me all day. I have a 3-hour radio show. I'm used to having people listening to me all day, right? These kids will not listen to me as third base coach. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm over there waving my arms like crazy. I'm screaming. I'm losing my voice. How aggressively can you coach? Mostly, I think we have 1 8-year-old. Almost all 7-year-olds. Almost all 7-year-olds. How aggressively can I coach them? Because yesterday, I swear to God, this happened too. Yesterday, my wife comes in and she says, your 7-year-old says you were mean to him at practice the other day. So what are you talking about? He says, you told him that he wasn't paying good enough attention in the outfield and that a ball was going to get hit by him, and then a ball got hit by him and you yelled at him. And I said, that's because the fucking ball got hit by him, and exactly what I said was going to happen, happened. He had to run all the way to the fence. Our outfielders are worthless right now. First base, we got a ball hit right by the first baseman last night. It went all the way to the fence. The first baseman ran to go get it at the fence. That's how worthless our outfielders are. And my wife said, well, he's a little bit upset that the way that you were talking to him. I said, what are you I don't know what you're supposed to do here. Is he supposed to get better, or am I just supposed to stand there? So, last night, our outfielders are awful. Ball goes to the fence, bounces off the fence. Literally, I've never even seen it happen before. Ball hit on the ground by the pitcher's mound. The fucking ball rolled all the way to the fence. I got like 10 guys who could have gotten the ball. It rolls all the way to the fence. All right? I'm losing my mind out here. I'm also the left field coach. You can be out there in left field. So they won't listen to me about playing ball in the outfield. They also won't listen to me about running the bases. Like, they just stop. They don't look at me. I don't know what to do. And then we lose the game because we got punched out because the kid ran outside the base paths. I really don't know what to do here. I don't know how aggressive to get in 7 or 8-year-old boys baseball, but if you're doing something wrong, I feel like it should be corrected. So I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. How far do you take this? I played 7 or 8-year-old boy baseball. I don't remember anybody on my team ever crying. I don't remember anybody on my team ever getting upset. We had fucking balls of steel on my 8-year-old baseball team. I don't know what's happened to kids today. They start crying. My own kid's complaining because I'm too tough on him because he's not playing outfield good enough. Well, stop the ball from hitting the fence, asshole. I don't get it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. They do get good snacks. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen. I might have to resign. I might be too tough. Anyway, we lost. And as a result, it's a Little League controversy. I've never seen somebody called out for running outside the base paths in Little League. I played Little League baseball, never saw it happen. Never saw an umpire punch somebody out for running outside the base paths. It's unbelievable. No, I didn't argue the call. I didn't argue the call at all. I will not argue calls. I don't want to get kicked out of Little League baseball. I've already said a bad message, if you remember, when we had the incident at Seaside where the woman got hit in the head with the football. My wife's already mad at me about that. So the last thing I'm going to do is get into a legitimate argument about trying to coach Little League baseball. But I will tell you this. These little motherfuckers better start listening when I'm telling them to run home. When I'm waving my arm and they're not looking at me, there's going to be hell to pay. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might take the snacks away. I might take them all for myself. I just don't know what to do. All right. Here in other news, this is the truth. We have another college basketball scandal. Now NC State and Kansas have been roped in. And let me just say this on the college basketball scandal. Who was Adidas fucking? I mean, the first thing I think about when I see all of these stories involving Adidas is who in the Department of Justice was banging somebody's wife at Adidas. Because the only schools that are getting in trouble are Adidas schools. Does Nike have photographs of the head of the Southern District of New York having sex with a goat? I don't understand how you can investigate college basketball and only catch Adidas schools doing things wrong. Are you telling me that the Nike and the Under Armour schools aren't doing anything wrong? I'll maybe give the Russell Athletic schools a pass because I think Russell Athletic makes less money than Outkick. I don't even know how they sponsor schools. But are you really telling me, and nobody else is asking this question, why is the entire investigation only focused on Adidas schools? If Kansas is paying players, okay? If Kansas is paying players, then Kentucky is paying players. Then North Carolina is paying players. Those schools all recruit the same player. It would be the height of absurdity for a guy to get offered money to go play at Kansas and go to Kentucky to play for free, or go to North Carolina to play for free. We already know they don't have to go to school at North Carolina. I don't understand how we have entered into a world where only Adidas schools are getting destroyed here. This seems to me like an inside job from Nike. It's like Nike has got all of the other shoe companies to get destroyed here. I don't understand. Somebody break this down for me. If cheating is rampant, let me take a step back. If you were a 5-star athlete, all right, let's pretend that everybody watching right now is an incredible athlete, 5-star basketball player. You can go anywhere in the country you want to go. Why on earth would you go play basketball somewhere for free if somebody else were paying you to go play for money? If you were a parent and everybody was getting paid, why on earth would you let your kid go for free if there was money to be had? Look, here's an example. I do radio. I get paid to do radio. That's my job. If I had to do radio for free at 5 a.m. every morning, I would not do it. If somebody paid me more money to do radio, I would significantly consider, as I am, going elsewhere to do radio, right? That's honestly the entire purpose of how capitalism works. So why in the world, regardless of what you get paid to do, if somebody is willing to pay you more to do the same thing, wouldn't you have to contemplate taking more money to do the same thing? So I don't understand this investigation to begin with, because from a legal perspective, let me take a step back. From a legal perspective, I don't understand how there's fraud here. I believe certainly there are NCAA violations. I don't understand why the FBI is involved in this investigation. I don't understand why they are charging anyone with crimes in this case, because I don't buy into the underlying argument upon which the fraud is based. The fraud argument is predicated on the idea that these kids defrauded the school by getting paid to go. But they still went. Now, if you could prove to me that multiple kids were defrauding multiple schools, taking their money and not going, then I would take a step back and say, okay, I can see perhaps how there might be a fraud. That would make sense. If you wanted to tell me that this was a tax violation because all of these kids and their families were getting paid tens of thousands of dollars to play college basketball and they didn't report it as income, I would understand that. But are you really arguing that these schools are getting a bad return on their investment when a shoe company is paying tens of thousands of dollars for a player to go to their school? Are you really making that argument? Moreover, somebody just popped in and said Cal is clean. Are you really arguing that Kentucky is getting all these 5 stars for free? And the same thing is true for North Carolina. Do you know how remarkable it would be of a recruiting job if Coach Cal and Roy Williams are getting guys to come to their schools for $100,000 less than everybody else is paying? Get out of here with that argument. There's no way on earth it's true. If Kansas is doing it and Louisville is doing it, Kentucky is doing it, and North Carolina is doing it. Otherwise, they would get every single top player on the planet. Imagine how much better of a recruiter you would have to be in order to get me to work for you for free if somebody was offering me 6 figures to do the same job. There isn't a person alive who would make that decision. So why would you be so dumb as to argue that the rules that Kansas and Louisville and all of these other schools are playing by are somehow different than the ones that these schools are playing by? It doesn't make any sense. And I really wonder why nobody else has asked that question. Why is this investigation only focusing on Adidas? If I were a rep at Adidas, I would be saying, wait a minute, we have much less schools than Nike. The Nike schools get every bit the same quality of player that we do. Why are only Adidas schools under the microscope here? And you could say, well, the informant just happened to be kind of connected with Adidas. Well, why don't you have an informant for Nike too? This whole thing is a house of cards. I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. I don't support it. I fundamentally reject the idea that the FBI should be involved. And you might be right. Nike tipped off the feds. Maybe so. But are you telling me Nike coaches aren't also being paid, having paid players roll into their schools? If not, why would anybody ever go to a Nike school? I mean that honestly. If Adidas and Nike both came to me and they said, Clay Travis, we are interested in buying advertisements through Outkick with you, I would say, okay. And Adidas said, we will give you $100,000 to advertise our product. I'd say, okay, all right, that's your offer. And we want exclusivity of your labor. I'd say, okay. If Nike then came to me and said, oh, Adidas has offered you $100,000 in advertising money, we offer you $0. Can you conceive of any reason why I would take the Nike offer? Markets only work if there are multiple bidders. Otherwise, every top player would have gone to an Adidas school or an Under Armour school. Those companies are funneling the same amounts of money to players as Adidas did. It doesn't make logical sense otherwise. Adidas schools would get every single player. That's the truth. So I don't understand this by any stretch of the imagination. And you can say, well, the reason, this is the argument people make, well, the reason why you would go to UNC or Kentucky is because you're more likely to get drafted. That's not true. These guys are going to get drafted wherever they go. It's not as if their draft stock is changing very much. If you can play, the NBA will find you no matter where you go. I just don't understand it. I also don't understand why nobody else is talking about the fact that only Adidas is being looked at. The profile doesn't matter. You cannot argue to me that there's that much of a difference in profile between playing at Kansas or playing at Kentucky. You just can't. Success level over that time, there's just not that much difference. There's not that much difference between going to Kansas and going to UNC. If profile was all that mattered, everybody would go to UCLA because UCLA is in LA and offers the second largest media market in all the country. That doesn't have any impact. I'm telling you, profile guy is an idiot. There is no difference in profile. The quality of the player is not changing. The amount of attention is not changing. Lonzo Ball went to UCLA and got more attention by the time of the NBA draft than any player in the last decade. That's because the player drives the attention, not anybody else. It does not have an impact. You are an imbecile if you are arguing that. Now, if you want to argue there's a difference between going to Western Kentucky and Kentucky, I agree. If you want to argue there's a difference between going to Sam Houston State and Kansas, I agree. If you want to talk about the difference between Chaminade and UVA, I'm sorry, UVA, I agree. Otherwise, not buying into it at all. All right, this is the most surprising news I've seen since Loyola of Chicago going to the Sweet 16. You ready? You sitting down? Are you prepared? Rob Gronkowski is a coin collector. This is the most surprising hobby that I have heard an athlete getting into since Michael Vick was into dogfighting. And I'm actually more surprised by Rob Gronkowski being into coin collecting than I am that Mike Vick was into dogfighting. I would actually have been less surprised to find out that Rob Gronkowski was running a dogfighting ring than I am that he is a coin collector. This is according to Darren Ravel. Professional Coin Grading Services says the suspects from the Rob Gronkowski burglary on the day of the Super Bowl were caught when they sold 2 of Gronkowski's Proof Morgan dollars to a local coin dealer. Gronkowski had numbers that tied the coins to them. All right, I am blown away by this on every level. Here's the coins that Rob Gronkowski was collecting. Here are the coins. This is an 1896 proof coin. I am stunned by this on several levels. First of all, does anybody else register their devices? I've got Apple stuff. I've never taken the time to actually register my devices officially with Apple, I don't think, unless somehow it happens automatically on the cloud. I have no idea, one, how in the world Rob Gronkowski got into coin collecting. Two, how in the world he was so into coin collecting that he registered the official serials of his coins that he was collecting. This is one of the most unbelievable things that I have ever heard of in the world of athletics. How on earth did Gronkowski care so much about coin collecting, and how did it pay off so well for him? I honestly can't think of anything that would surprise me more than Rob Gronkowski collecting coins. This is remarkable. It's true. Rob Gronkowski, coin collector. Next thing you're going to tell me, I don't even know what else could be more crazy. Next thing you're going to tell me, Sister Jean is like a spokesperson for sex toys. I mean, I don't know. It's just a product connected to a person who's a celebrity that I would never have contemplated ever happening. I'm going to have to block a loser here who's really annoying me. It doesn't pay. It's just a hobby. Yeah, if you collect coins, that's still a really weird hobby for an NFL athlete who appears to have an IQ of around 90, like Rob Gronkowski, to have in his free time. He just sits around with coin proofs. He has safe deposit boxes full of coins. He's just a huge American history guy who loves to look at all the different vintage and years and mints of his coins. Hobby guy, I'm not buying into it. If he collected football cards or baseball cards or like something related to sports, I would buy into it. This, I don't buy into at all. Finally, two different things. Controversy erupted this morning on the show. Well, let me tell you about the show tomorrow. Not the kind of guy who wants to brag. Not the kind of guy who likes to brag. Not the kind of guy to draw attention to myself. Tomorrow, we have got an incredible guest scheduled to come on Outkick the Coverage, my morning show. Do you remember when we got into a conversation about Pablo Escobar and this 5,000-acre estate that he had in Colombia, where he collected all these strange animals? He had a collection of hippos. The hippos escaped from Pablo Escobar's compound, and they now live in the rivers and waterways of Colombia. And there were initially 4, 3 female hippos and 1 male hippo. They now have 50 hippos that live in Colombia and have colonized this whole area, okay? There was a documentary done about Pablo Escobar's hippos that was called, and I'm not making this up, Cocaine Hippos. We are scheduled tomorrow on the radio show to have the head of the Cocaine Hippos documentary for a full hour to answer every question you could have about Pablo Escobar's hippos and their impact in Colombia. It's Animal Thunderdome brought to life. I'm telling you, if we don't win a Marconi for this hour of radio tomorrow, I don't know why radio still exists as a medium in this country. We are going to have the lady behind Cocaine Hippos on with us for an hour, and I'm going to learn everything there is to know about Pablo Escobar's hippos. This is going to be the greatest Animals Thunderdome segment of all time. Now, some of you are rolling your eyes. I can see you. But a couple of weeks ago, we had on a Canadian dinosaur expert And universally, I was told that was the greatest interview of a Canadian dinosaur expert to ever air on sports radio in the history of the media. Now, not the kind of guy who wants to take credit for breaking barriers, ending the racism against Canadian dinosaur experts in one fell swoop. But I am here to tell you that tomorrow's show with cocaine hippos for an hour really is worth setting your alarm for. I think it's going to be hour 3. We're still plotting out the show. I think from 8 to 9 Eastern, from 7 to 8 Central, 6 to 7 Mountain, 5 to 6 Pacific, we are going to be talking about cocaine hippos. Not the kind of guy to brag or draw attention to himself, but I think it's probably important that you ensure that you are awake and listening live to that as the greatest hour of all time in the history of radio, certainly in the history of sports talk radio, talking about cocaine and hippos. All that's going to happen. All right, Speaker Ryan has resigned. I think this is all about just making more money. I think Speaker Ryan, Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, I think he looked around and he said, it's time for me to go get rich. And I certainly understand when you're working as hard as he is and you're making $185,000, there is no way, there's no way that I would ever begrudge anybody deciding that they need to go make money. But I think that's what this is about. I don't think there is that much substantial. I want to say this. Yesterday we talked about impeachment. And I will say this. Somebody emailed me, and he was upset about the way that I was talking about impeachment. I want to apologize here. I sometimes use impeachment to mean removal from office. There are a lot of people out there that don't really think about this very much, and they're like, well, Bill Clinton was impeached. To me, what matters when you're impeached is whether or not you are removed from office, not whether or not the House votes to impeach you. Constitutionally, here's an important distinction. Donald Trump is not going to be impeached. It is not going to happen during the course of his presidency, barring something insane coming out, which has not come out right now. It's not going to happen because of Stormy Daniels. It's not going to happen because he slept with somebody 12 years ago. I use the term impeached. When I use the term impeached, what I mean is, and removed from office. Not just impeached. I think it's unlikely he's going to be impeached because the House of Representatives does it. But in order to be removed from office, impeached and removed from office, do you know what actually has to happen? I'm curious. Does any single person know what is required in the comments right now to be removed from office? Not just impeached. That's where the House of Representatives votes by a majority to impeach you. Do you know what is required in the Senate to pull you out of the office? Somebody got it. 67 senators have to vote in favor of impeachment. When Bill Clinton was impeached by the House of Representatives, only 45 senators voted to remove him from office. That means even with a 55-person Republican majority in the Senate, only 45 voters voted to remove him. You need 67 people to vote to remove a president from office. That is almost an impossible hurdle to reach. If you doubt me, think about how hard it is to break a filibuster and put together 60 votes in order to remove somebody from office. You would need 67 votes. So you would need a massive amount of Republicans. Right now, I believe the Senate is like 51 to 49 in favor of Republicans. That means you would need every Democrat right now in the Senate, and we'll see what happens in the midterms. You would need 49 Democrats to agree to vote to impeach Donald Trump, and you would then need 18 of the Democrats to turn on Donald Trump and also vote to impeach him. That, my friends, is just not going to happen. And Bill Clinton, when he was impeached, the Republicans had a 55 to 45 majority in that situation. All right? And so that is the truth. You would need 18 Republicans to flip, even if all of those others were involved. All right? That is the truth. I love all of you. Remember, if I happen to look over and if I see you behaving like a pussy, I'm going to block you. That is the rule that is in play here right now. If I do so, you will never be able to comment on this show again. And you will be humiliated in front of everyone who actually pays attention to the comments. That, my friends, is the truth. I am Clay Travis. Go wager all of your money, if you can afford to do so, at sportsbookreview.com by making sure you get the best of the NHL numbers. They'll take care of you wherever you go to make sure that you got the best betting number, and that matters given how competitive these series are likely to be. And I also encourage you to go sign up for mortgages at thehomeloanexpert.com. If you do so, then I'm telling you right now, you will be very happy hanging out with us in August in Las Vegas for Outkick the weekend. I am Clay Travis. Love all of you. Don't be a pussy. This has been Outkick the show.